Thanks for joining the latest episode of Corner Your Market podcast. Today, I want to talk a little bit about AI, but specific to AI, I want to talk about trademarks, copyrights, intellectual property, and things like that, because as we all know, AI is not really creating anything new. It's actually recreating things that maybe other people have already made and things like that. So it's regenerative AI is the world that we live in. And so because of that, I know in marketing, it's become an issue for some folks as they've used AI to create logos. They've used AI to write blog posts. They've used AI in their marketing materials for commercial purposes and things like that. And so there could be opportunities or places where you are opening yourself up to possible legal issues and things like that. And so with that in mind, I invited my friend and colleague, Alexis Nelson, to join the show today. She's the owner and founder of Silicon Slopes IP here in the Salt Lake City area. It's an IP boutique law firm. She's also of counsel at Kunzler, Bean & Adamson at Salt Lake City, and also at Goldstein Patent Law in New York. She's a very seasoned patent attorney. She has over 20 years of experience representing clients from startups to Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies actually. She has specialized, most of her career, she specialized in patent and trademark prosecution, licensing, dispute resolution, and other intellectual property related matters. So again, we're going to have a very lively discussion. I want to also remind you that this is not a legal advice show with any kind of legal advice. What we talk about here is strictly just a discussion between two friends just sitting on the sofa and just kind of talking about intellectual property and how it relates to AI and marketing. So stick around. We'll be on the other side, and we'll start our conversation going. Welcome to the latest episode of Corner Your Market podcast. I'm glad you're here. On this podcast, I talk about everything related to digital marketing, from website design and development to SEO, PPC, email marketing, social media, analytics, and everything in between. So if you're a small business owner, a marketing manager in a company, or an entrepreneur, and you want to get yourself up to speed on digital marketing related topics, this is the place for you. So like and share my videos, subscribe to my videos, and every other week you'll be receiving fresh new content that will help you grow your business by helping you improve your digital marketing. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, so thank you for joining us. Like I said, I have Alexis here. Alexis, did I miss anything in the intro that I need to add about your background or anything like that?
I think you hit the high points, Shailesh. Okay. So thanks for having me on here. It's fun to be here. This is my first time in the studio, so it'll be a
But you've done other podcasts before.
Yeah, I've done some podcasts, webinars, and I like to sit on panels and answer questions. So It should be fun.
That's awesome. It's really good. One thing that I did you did biology, right?
You
did biology, and then you went into a law from there. So I find that very interesting because I did physics, and I thought I could have done something else with it than just marketing. But you never know. So let's start from the basics, because I feel like when I talk to, like the last 2 years, I've got this feedback from people where from a marketing company perspective, they feel like we're just using AI to generate things. And so I remind them of intellectual property and things like that. So maybe you could give us a little bit of a background on what is IP, what is like copyright, what are the current laws on that and things like that. So we're all aware of what that is.
Sure. Okay, so when we talk about intellectual property, we're really talking about patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. And so just as a quick definition, I guess, of each of those branches. So patents would cover like inventions, which would be mechanical devices, software, anything that is useful, novel, and non-obvious. Those are the requirements for a patent in the U.S. Copyrights cover original works of authorship, so books, music, art, things of that nature. And trademarks are like your business name or logos that you use to promote your business or to represent whatever goods and services that you are that you are producing or selling.
Okay, so that's a good because you have ownership over that. So how does obviously AI is regenerating things, like when you go to like a AI image generation software, it's basically taking stuff that other people have worked on and then regenerating it, right? So how does that impact? Who owns that at that point?
So the way that AI works, I mean, in really simplistic terms, is that it provides training models. So immense amounts of data are fed into these training models, and then the AI program is trained to detect patterns in that data,
Right.
and use the patterns to generate new data. But really, it's not new in the sense of being original. It's new in the sense of being recombined or regenerative, like
Right.
you're saying. So.
Yeah.
So, and that's where it kind of conflicts with our existing copyright and intellectual property system, because in the U.S. we reward people for original, creative, innovative things.
Right.
That and so that requires a human component.
Okay.
And so even though AI is relatively a recent phenomenon, and so it is being there's a lot of legislation around it right now, and it has been the topic of some court cases, but it's still in its infancy, and so we'll just have to see how the courts expand, in view of AI and how that develops.
That's interesting. So like recently, I had one business owner say that they just went to like one of those popular, I don't want to name any names, so I'm not going to name any names,
Yeah.
but one of those popular image editing software, and they said that they went in there and they created a logo out of that. Is that, I don't know what the terms and services, is that a good avenue? I mean, because traditionally they would pay us to do that, right? A marketing
Right.
agency.
Right. And I mean, personally, I love AI. I think it's a great tool, but I think it's a great tool to assist you in developing, your own creative works. And that really is, so far, that's how the courts have come down on it too, is that AI, if it's strictly been created if something has been strictly AI generated, that is not eligible for IP protection.
Okay.
So you can't get a patent on something, for example, that is AI generated. You can't have a copyright on something that's just been generated by AI. However, there have been cases where the courts have said where AI has assisted someone in producing something, then the original parts of that work are protectable.
Okay, interesting. I guess in a logo, that'd be kind of hard to say what part is protectable, but I haven't generated logos from those systems, but people have. And the images that I've generated take different, like I generated an image of like U.S. athletes celebrating after Olympic gold, and just to kind of show what it looks like. And there's vague resemblances to what the real athletes look like, but I mean, a lot of those images are owned by, AP or Getty Images or something like that. And so they're kind of taking that and modifying it. So I don't know if those guys are going to be upset about it or not, so.
Right. And the way that the courts have come down, there's one case recently. It was the Andy Warhol Foundation versus Goldsmith, where that was a case involving a photograph of Prince that the artist had taken in the 1980s, and then the Andy Warhol Foundation had modified the photo and produced a silk screen print in various saturated colors, and I'm sure, I mean, pretty much everyone has seen it in some context, and where the courts came down on that was that they said, because one of the exceptions for being a fair use of copyright is if something has been transformed from its original form.
Okay.
And so the question was whether whether that was a transformation, taking the original photograph and then saturating it in different colors as a silk screen, and the court said that it wasn't enough. It didn't qualify for that fair use exception. And I think that's instructive as far as AI, because if that's not enough, then it tends to make me think that, AI in general, the way it's being used to produce images and text, and it probably doesn't meet the bar for being transformative.
Okay, so that means that it would not be eligible for fair use then, right? If it's not transformative. Okay, interesting. Right. Okay. How scared do people need to be when they're using AI for these kinds of things? Because there's a lot of tools that are promoting this, like, use this to generate this and that. I don't know.
Right. Well, I think if you're looking to, there's two questions really. Like, there's the input that's put into the training models, and then there's the output, what's produced. And what you're talking about is the output. If you're generating something, a logo or anything else using AI, is that protectable? And I think the quick answer to that is no, unless you modify it or substantially change it in some way so that it will meet that transformative exception.
Okay, interesting. How about for like blog posts and content that people are generating online? I'm assuming that if you write a blog post as a business, that's yours, right? But if you're using, I don't know. What is that thing called? Plagiarism. Right? Are you opening yourself up to plagiarism, potentially if you're using?
Potentially. Yeah, I think the whole key, the best way to safeguard against that is to just understand that you can use AI assistance, but if you don't want to run afoul of the intellectual property laws or the intellectual property protections of someone else, and if you also want to potentially be able to protect it yourself, then the key is really just to make sure that you have substantially modified it or from its original form and format, and that includes expression. So expression is journalism type. When we're creating or writing blog posts. Then we do it in an expressive format, and that could run afoul of someone else's copyright if we're not careful. And so we want to make sure that we're not copying someone else's expression, that we're injecting our own creativity into the blog post.
Yeah. Google is also a little bit on the protective. They're also particular about that as well, because they have AI scanners, and so you're looking for. If you're wanting to, obviously the reason why you would blog as a business is to get Google rankings, right? Because you're trying to get your listings up there, but they're also penalizing you for AI noise at this point. So if you're just generating blog posts using AI, then they're going to know that that's what it is,
right?
And then they're not going to give you the rankings that you need based on they prioritize authorship and originality and all that kind of stuff. So I think there's protections there to kind of do it, but again, maybe the excitement over all of these things has kind of died down the last maybe 12 months, but at least a year ago I was hearing a lot about people saying, well, why do I need you guys anymore? I can do all this using AI and things like that, So,
yes.
But so aside from that, as people use more and more AI, I guess you kind of answered that. It has to have the originality built into it. What are some of the red flags that a small business might keep in mind as they're thinking about these things? Maybe on the patent side, I don't know.
Well, for any IP kind of protection or I think the big question for businesses is when it comes to AI, is you don't want to infringe someone else's intellectual property by utilizing AI tools.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the key there is just to utilize the traditional ways that we make sure that you are not infringing someone else's intellectual property rights, and that really comes down to doing comprehensive searches when you're doing trademarks. I always recommend that, we do trademark searches all the time. There's also trademark searching companies that will do them for you. And the trademark laws require that trademarks are only protectable in as far as they are distinctive, so that they identify those goods and services as yours as opposed to someone else's. Mm-hmm. And so to make sure that it's distinctive, you have to do a search. And the search needs to be done by a professional that understands the trademark laws. Yeah,
yeah. What are some recent things that who are some recent clients that you've, you don't have to name clients, obviously, but some projects that have been kind of interesting on the IP front. Have you come across any AI-related stuff recently on that?
There's always, it seems like all of the patent applications that I've worked on in the last year and a half, 2 years, have all had an AI component to them. At least all of the software related applications. It's just a huge area. And I think, the companies and the people that learn how to leverage AI to make their product better or faster or more efficient, they're going to come out on top. Yeah. And the ones that don't, they're just going to be left behind. Yeah. And so it is, you can see it in the patent filings, where the patent filings that have an AI component have just, exploded in the last few years.
Okay, that's interesting, because there's one group, I forget the name of the company, that they have a AI tool that basically allows you to build a website like instantly. Like you can basically input what you want on your website and it just creates a website for you. Just amazing. And I've heard of all these software tools that write code for you, and it's just wild to me that it's happening. And I don't know what that means for us, but it'll definitely be very interesting. So basically your firm, Silicon Slopes IP, basically specializes in this kind of stuff, right? Talk a little bit about your firm to kind of see, so people might be interested in working with you.
Oh, sure. Well, I work with a number of patent attorneys. They're all excellent patent attorneys with a lot of experience, and I have, like you mentioned, I'm a registered patent attorney. I've been a patent attorney for 23 years this year, which is a long time. Yeah. So, and I've worked with pretty much every industry, and just on a wide variety of things. And we do definitely focus. Our patents are kind of the meat of what we do, but we also do a lot of trademark work. And when it comes to AI, and we do our fair share of copyright too. When it comes to AI, it's a lot of. It really touches on all of the areas. Mm-hmm. So in patents, it's there are inventions that utilize AI or that improve on AI, fundamental aspects of AI to improve or make the process more efficient. That seems to be where the focus has been. That on trademarks, it's like I say, we have to make sure that we're searching and giving our clients the right advice as far as making sure that their trademarks are distinctive, and those are the kinds of things that we do. And then copyrights. I worked with you on a copyright matter recently.
That one threw me for a loop. That one threw me for a loop because I think there are people. That's the second time that's happened to me too. It's it's crazy. And the first time I guess I'm not used to getting a letter from a law firm, demanding XYZ and things like that, especially when they seem like they're a legit law firm, And so it's like, well, this is just, what the heck is this? So it was right around Christmas time too. I really enjoyed it. So
yeah, hopefully, I don't know if that's intentional or not, but.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what it was, but what kind of clients do you work best with? Like inventors? Are you work with a lot of software companies too?
I work with a lot of tech companies for sure, but as far as the trademarks, it really runs the gamut because every company, and especially startups, they need to register their trademarks. They need to register their business names, and then whatever product names or logos they're going to be using to market their products. It's really important to register those to make sure that one that you're protecting. I mean, it gives companies a competitive edge to have that, and also credibility.
Yeah.
But it also protects against someone else sending you a cease and desist letter.
Yeah, I know.
And having to address that.
Yeah,
So
that's no fun.
yeah, it's an offensive and a defensive move, and it's always advisable.
And you've also worked with a lot of Amazon sellers too, right? I mean, isn't
Yep.
there like a little advantage to having your thing trademarked if you're selling on Amazon?
Definitely, yeah. With Amazon sellers, I mean, it's hard to even be competitive at all on Amazon with the number of products that are being marketed on Amazon, unless that you are enrolled in Amazon brand registry. And to do that, you have to have registered trademarks. And so we work with a lot of Amazon sellers. Also, there's a lot of infringement on Amazon. If you come out with an innovative product, you're going to see a Chinese version of that within an hour of putting it on Amazon.
That's
typically. Crazy. So yeah, so we work with a lot of Amazon sellers that are frustrated with that, and we work with are very familiar with their takedown procedures, and we help clients that way.
How do they, do they just scan? Are these Chinese manufacturers just scanning Amazon for just anything new that pops up and just immediately like duplicating it? Is that, I'm assuming?
Yeah, a lot. And a lot of the issues arise because if Amazon sellers are utilizing Chinese companies to manufacture their products, then it's just kind of a no man's land over there. There are certain precautions you can take to protect your product from becoming infringed.
Okay.
But and we're familiar with those. We help clients with that all the time. But the typical safeguards that work in the U.S., like your standard non-disclosure agreements, they just aren't effective in China. Chinese manufacturers will sign those all day long, knowing that they're not enforceable.
Yeah,
so,
you're not going to show up in some podunk Chinese manufacturing city saying,
right.
So
if you show them your NDA and say, will you sign this, they'll get out their pen. So.
How many languages do you want me to sign it?
Yeah. So we do. I mean, we do help clients with that.
Does Amazon help with that at all? Are they trying to protect you, or whose side is Amazon on? I guess. I mean, are they? They don't care.
No, they actually have their own enforcement.
Oh, they do. Okay.
System. Yeah. It's just outside of the court system, and so, but we're really familiar with their enforcement mechanisms too, and we've worked with them a lot.
So if you're like if you have like a skateboard that I say this because I had a relative who had that. He has a skateboard. And it was a really cool skateboard. He had a specific logo and everything like that, but it was all being manufactured in China, right?
Right.
So that kind of stuff you need to make sure is trademarked properly, enforced here at least.
And typically, I mean, if there's a logo like you're saying that they are using or for branding purposes in China too, you want to make sure that your brand is also registered in China and anywhere.
And you can help with that as well?
Yep.
Okay.
We do that a lot.
Interesting. So you're an international patent attorney.
Yes.
That's kind of cool. What are some resources? I mean, I don't think most of the people that I come across really, they don't come across, a lot of this IP related issues. What are some resources that you would recommend for people like to read up on? Is there like an American Association of Intellectual Property that people can go to, or you just have to hire an attorney?
Well, I mean, for basic information, if you want accurate information, I would stay away from just Google as a resource in general, just because there's a lot of misinformation, on there too. But the USPTO, it's uspto.gov. They have some really good, just basic articles that will inform you about the basic requirements and help you kind of get the lay of the land. There's the American Bar Association.
Okay.
They have some publications. There's also in Utah, there's the Utah Bar Journal that they publish some things about that, and really you just want to find a reputable IP attorney and who will talk to you. And I think that's the best source of information.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say because there's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I've used Reddit boards for different things, but
yeah,
when you're fixing your door in the basement, it's okay. But if you're trying to do like,
right, it gets a little, you don't know what to trust and what not to trust, and I mean, that's a problem with AI in general, since we're on the topic of that. I mean, and when AI, like ChatGPT first came out, some attorneys were using ChatGPT to help write their legal briefs.
Oh, were they really? Okay.
And it became an issue because ChatGPT would cite laws and that they would use and cite in their legal briefs without doing their own research, and the case law didn't really exist. So it was
fictional, like from TV shows, maybe.
Well, it was. I think they
from?
call it a hallucination.
A hallucination.
An AI hallucination, and so they weren't. Anyway, it wasn't actual law. They got in some trouble with
so those attorneys got in trouble.
Yeah. So and they have kind of come down on that and said you can't use. I mean, you're running afoul of the ethics rules if you use ChatGPT to write your legal briefs. So yeah, I mean it's an evolving area.
It is. I think at the beginning a lot of people were using it. We had a lot of clients send us blog posts that they wrote to edit, and
right.
and I'm reading this going, this doesn't even sound like a human. It's like it just seems like an 8th grader wrote it or 9th grader wrote it. And I don't know that any adult humans would write an article and say, in conclusion, here are my 3 points. It's like, come on, read your own stuff. It's like, ChatGPT put that together.
Yeah.
And so if somebody wants to work with you, obviously they would get a hold of you at siliconslopesip.com.
Right.
And then you're also on LinkedIn. I'll drop in the LinkedIn profile. Facebook. You're also on Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, you're everywhere. Okay.
Well, the basics.
The basics. Okay.
Yeah.
And then how do they work with you? They just call you, set up an appointment? Do you review things with them?
If you go to my website, which is the siliconslopesip.com, there's you can click on free consultation, and that will take you to my calendar. And from there, you can book a free 30 minutes. I'd be happy to talk to you about whatever your IP issues are, or even just any basic questions that are AI related or IP related.
Okay, got it. So do you come across a lot of inventors? Like they're just so excited about the invention and just
Oh yeah, all the time. And those are my favorite clients because I have a long career, and over that career I've dealt with a lot of really enormous companies, and those are great to work with in a lot of ways. But my favorite clients are just the small inventors, the startups because there's so much excitement and so much just energy, just positive energy when you're starting a new business, and I love to be part of that and just to help my clients and see them succeed.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I like small inventors too. They have a lot of energy. I had a friend 10, 15 years ago who was an engineer, and he had some kind of an invention. He wouldn't tell me about it, but he had a notebook that he was told by an attorney that you have to kind of document everything as you go along.
Yeah.
So that it's really, date stamped and everything like that. So it's really, but he never showed it to me. Because he said, if I showed it to you,
then he
runs afoul of patent laws and things like that.
Well, you could infringe.
I could infringe, right? And yeah,
so he doesn't want to risk it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to risk it.
You have to sign an NDA.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so. Okay, so yeah, we talked about a lot of good stuff here today. We talked about the intellectual property ramifications of ChatGPT and AI tools and things like that. We talked about logos, trademarks, and things like that. But I think from a small business perspective, I don't know that there's a lot of issues beyond that we can really talk about. So thank you, Alexis, for making it all the way out here,
Sure.
Fighting traffic to be here, in the studio
I made it.
and be a part of the show. Really appreciate it. So thank you.
Okay.